My name is Colton Smith. Whoever may be watching, I'm a student athletic trainer at Florida Gulf Coast University, getting ready to graduate. And my presentation today will be on kind of a sales pitch on if I were to present, selling myself as an athletic trainer to a company that potentially may not have an athletic trainer at their site, which I know they don't. And the point of this is kind of advertising myself to companies that may not see athletic trainer or even think about hiring an athletic trainer for their staff, and kind of showing why we're important and what we can do for these companies. So I have chosen Pulte Homes. It's a construction company, kind of a very large construction company that is very prevalent in the Fort Myers area, as well as kind of the South, as well as Texas. So here we go. So what can an athletic trainer do for Pulte Homes? So you may view athletic trainers as personal trainers. Maybe you've never heard of an athletic trainer. So there's a big difference between personal trainers and athletic trainers. Or you may view athletic trainers as what athletic trainers actually are. Maybe you watch college football or college basketball, or your high school, or your kids play at high school, and you may see athletic trainers run out in the field when somebody gets hurt. And I'm here to tell you today that there's more to athletic trainers than potentially running out in the field if someone gets injured, or taping up an ankle, or being hydration specialists and bringing players water throughout the game. There's much more to athletic training than that. Athletic trainings have a huge education, and we have much more to offer, even outside of the sports realm. So the truth is about athletic trainers, we have so much more to offer. Athletic trainers are beginning to work in a variety of non-traditional settings besides, and we define non-traditional as not a sports setting. So settings, for example, offices, laboratories, industrial settings, or NASA is actually a site for athletic trainers. Now, athletic trainers work at NASA because they can serve in these capacities. So anywhere production may be limited due to injury, athletic trainers can play a role. So this isn't just, once again, sporting events, but people may be injured at work or have injuries that that may decrease productivity at any workplace that this may happen. So what exactly is an athletic trainer is the question that you may be asking. So what I like to say is athletic training may be considered a blend between physical therapy and emergency management. Sure, we can handle these emergency situations and mitigate them, as well as we can operate in a musculoskeletal manner and deal with rehabilitation of acute and chronic injuries. Those are kind of our two main components. But here's what the NATA defines athletic training as. The National Athletic Training Association is kind of like a collective voice for athletic trainers. So the NATA defines athletic trainers as highly qualified, multi-skilled healthcare professionals who collaborate with physicians to provide preventive services, emergency care, clinical diagnosis, therapeutic intervention, and rehabilitation of injuries and medical conditions. Furthermore, the practice of athletic training encompasses the prevention, examination, and diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation of emergent, acute, subacute, and chronic neuromusculoskeletal conditions and certain medical conditions in order to minimize subsequent impairments, functional limitations, disability, and societal limitations. So with that, athletic trainers can do these things, right? But athletic trainers must work under a DO, an MD, or a doctor of chiropractic. So with that, Pulte Homes, I know, has insurance, obviously, for their workers. And with that, part of this sales pitch, I'm explaining this now, has to do with me selling this to kind of ensure that I can work with that doctor. So I can say, as part of my employment here at Pulte Homes, if you were to consider me, I would have to also gain access to the doctor, to the preferred care doctor, and kind of get under his or her aspect of care, and making sure to bridge the gap with that doctor, and showing the doctor I can provide these services and save Pulte Homes money, as well as providing that excellent care that a doctor would be okay with, allowing me to provide. So, what exactly can an athlete trainer do for Pulte Homes? In 2016, back injuries accounted for 16% of non-fatal injuries, resulting in days away from work. So days away from work means loss of potential revenue. An athlete trainer can treat that worker before, during, and after the injury. And in turn with that, less days away from work means a reduced loss of revenue. So, we also treat cuts, scrapes, bruises, and gashes, which happen at the workplace all the time. And this is a huge portion of on-the-job injuries besides these musculoskeletal injuries. So athletic trainers can treat, manage, and protect these injuries. So what exactly can an athletic trainer do for Pulte Homes? Continuing, we can provide instruction on how to lift these heavy objects. We can provide rehabilitation for all of these injuries, all of these back injuries, leg injuries, whatever it may be at work. Construction jobs and all these jobs have such heavy muscular components that there is bound to be injuries in many aspects, not just the shoulder or back. We can treat and manage all of these conditions as well as prevent these conditions by providing education. So for example, we can provide a shoulder rehabilitation program for overhead construction workers, which may be individuals who are doing scaffolding up top or rolling paint, anything like that. We can assess these injuries and treat them before these individuals have to go see a doctor or have to take time away from work. We can also provide nutritional and hydration recommendations. Once again, we are not dietitians in the fact that we can prescribe certain diets, but we can make recommendations based on what these workers are eating or what they are drinking. We can make recommendations based on the MyPlate food pyramid and other researched and developed nutritional guidelines. And these are just a few examples of what athletic trainers can do. So an example, what about John? An example of how I may be able to help. So let's say that John is a painter for Pulte Homes. He's been painting for 5 years, and his shoulder has been in pain while rolling for a week. Say exterior construction began in a home, and they're in the painting phase, and they're painting over the stucco, perhaps like a primer coat. He's been painting all day for 4 days, and he starts to have this pain in his shoulder. So what do we do, right? So John's faced with a few options without an athletic trainer on site. John can either go to the doctor, he can take days off of work, or he can continue to work through the pain, which is bad for John, as well as he definitely won't be able to work as fast or efficiently because of that shoulder pain. And he might do a combination of all three. He may work in pain and in turn working slowly, may take days off work, and he may go see a doctor because of this issue. So this means lost profit and lost productivity, especially if John takes days off work, has to go see a doctor, and uses workers' compensation to go do so. So what if an athletic trainer worked at Pulte Homes? So John could have been seen by the athletic trainer, and his shoulder could have been evaluated. John could have been treated for the condition of proximal biceps tendonitis without having to leave work and see the doctor. I worked as a painter for many years, and I know that I had bicep issues if I were to paint long periods of time, and I had no idea what it was. If I had an athletic trainer on site, I could have been treated for that, perform rehabilitation, and manage the injury before it got so bad that I had to take off work or go see a doctor. So John could have undergone rehabilitation before the injury became as drastic as it was. And he could have potentially never left work, and we could have maintained, Pulte Homes could have maintained that productivity on the painting aspect without having John leave work, or potentially use that workers' compensation or go see a doctor under Pulte Homes money when he could have been seen right from the get-go. Right. So this means having an athletic trainer increase profit and increase productivity because we're able to prevent and treat these injuries before they become an issue. Right. So in conclusion, an athletic trainer can protect and enhance the productivity of the workers of Pulte Homes. An athletic trainer can increase Pulte Home's profit and productivity. And the main way we function as athletic trainers is seeing these individuals, treating them, preventing injuries, and mitigating these injuries before they become issues that need to take off work, use workers' compensation, or go see a doctor. Before any of this, spirals into that, we can manage these injuries before, and we can do so much more, such as stretching programs, nutritional recommendations, hydrational recommendations. We can work on strengthening these workers, technique on how to do things. We can look at preventative aspects. We have so many opportunities to enhance the workers' productivity, as well as manage injuries that they may have while working at Pulte Homes. So thanks for listening. Appreciate it.